Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. How are we all doing? Well, funny old day today, isn't it? We're back, lockdown 2. We've just started. It's day 1. Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit, the world feels a little bit funny to me at the minute. So I'd imagine a lot of you guys are feeling very similar. But I think it's important to remember that we will get through this, and we've done it before and we can do it again. So, as we said yesterday, we're here if you need us at any point, or we can help you in any way. Contact us and be in touch, because we're here to help. Now, so what is the yard going to look like now we're in this lockdown? So yesterday in our Tea and Toast, Bianca mentioned briefly that we're having to change our programme slightly, as we are part working from home. And although we're still open as an organisation, unfortunately, our doors at the yard have had to close for this period. So our programme for lockdown is slightly changing. So what you're going to see is every morning, Tuesday to Friday at 10 o'clock, I'm going to be online doing a little bit of storytelling. So we're just mixing it up a little bit. And you're going to see all of the team over these next 4 weeks doing different storytelling and different things going on, really. But yeah, the Tea and Toast are still going to be happening, but perhaps just slightly later in the day. And we're just going to be online a lot more than what we were previously. So, mornings, 10 a.m. This is the book I'm going to start reading. So it's called The Mum Who'd Had Enough by Fiona Gibson. And we're going to see if we can get through this book in lockdown. I'm not sure. I haven't read it yet myself. I've heard that it's really good, and I thought we'd give it a go. So morning, Laurel. Hope you're doing okay. We're good doing a bit of storytelling if you want to hang around and listen. So yeah, it's time to get comfy, relax. I'm going to get myself in a nice comfy position, and I'm going to start. So here we go. Chapter 1, Nate. It's Scout who wakes me by licking my face. Scout, the fox terrier we would only adopt as long as he wasn't allowed on the furniture, and who is now luxuriating, sultan-like, on the king-size bed. Christ, boy, get off me. I flip over to joke with Shenae about waking up being snogged. The joke will have to wait. Shenae isn't lying beside me. Strange. It's unusual for me not to hear my wife getting up, and these days she's been getting up all times of the night. She's easily disturbed by nocturnal noises. I really should have set those mouse traps last night, and has been suffering from, I don't know, anxiety, I guess. Often I wake up at some ungodly hour and she's lying there with her eyes wide open, looking tense and afraid. Perhaps it's hormonal. At 43, I think she's a bit young for the menopause. Not that I'm any kind of expert. I just try to help. Really, I do. I gently suggested she might try herbal supplements. I'd heard Liv at work enthusing about the soothing properties of sage. But Sinead just snapped. I appreciate your handy hints, Nate, but I'm fine, thank you very much. Even so, it had been pretty shocking when she announced a few weeks ago that she was planning to see a therapist. All I could think of were Woody Allen films and everyone talking about their emotionally abusive mothers. And by all accounts, Shenae's childhood was extremely happy. Did that mean she wanted to see a therapist because of me? Having manoeuvred Scout to one side, I checked the time on my phone, 6:43 a.m. I climb out of bed and pad quietly out of our bedroom and across the landing, past Flynn's bedroom. No need to wake him up yet. Our son's school is on the other side of town, and most days Sinead drives him there, even though he can manage the bus no problem and thinks it's ludicrous that we want to ferry him anywhere at 16 years old. Flynn has cerebral palsy. Whilst most kids think nothing of it, you get the odd little arsehole who wants to start something. Apologies for the language. And there were a few bullying incidents on the bus when he was younger. Understandably, his mum still likes to deliver him safely to the door, or at least around the corner from school, which is the closest he'll allow. He comes home with his mate Max, who lives 2 streets away, so that's fine. Of course it's fine. Flynn is virtually an adult. I need to stop thinking of him as our little boy. More urgently right now, I have a strong desire to find out where my wife is. I check the bathroom, no Shenae, and head downstairs with Scout trotting along my side. In the living room, last weekend's newspapers are still strewn messily across the coffee table. Honey, I call out, where are you? No reply. I go through to the kitchen, expecting to find her there, sipping coffee and explaining that she just woke up stupidly early and couldn't get back to sleep. But there's only Bella, my mother's sleek and regal collie, whom we are dog-sitting while Mum scales some Cumbrian mountains with her new bloke. Still dozing in her own basket, Bella wouldn't dream of jumping onto anyone's bed. Mum thinks it's appalling that Scout is allowed onto ours. Judging by her reaction, you'd think we'd allowed him to sit on the table and lap at our soup. Sinead, I call her more loudly this time, then place a hand on the kettle. It's cold. Detective Nate Turner surmises that his wife has not yet made coffee. I fill it, and as I switch it on, I spot a sheet of lined A4 paper lying on the worktop. It is entirely covered with my wife's rather charming, elegant handwriting, albeit a little scrawlier than usual, and looks like some sort of list. A to-do list, I assume, giving it a cursory glance. Sinead is fanatical about writing things down. She reckons it's the only way she can keep on top of this family. I look at the list again, properly this time. At the top of the sheet, she's written a heading and underlined it several times. Everything that's wrong with you. I frown and stare at it. She can't mean me. As far as I know, she sat up pretty late last night, probably working her way through that second bottle of Blossom Hill, judging by the empty sitting by the bin. It must be some kind of stream consciousness thing, maybe triggered by yesterday's session with Rachel, her therapist. Although Sinead is loath to tell me what goes on between them, I'd imagine Rachel gives her various mental exercises to do. She probably told Sinead to list all the things she thinks are wrong with herself. I look down at Scout, who is staring up at me with unblinking brown eyes. Is that what she pays all that money for? I ask him, at which he tilts his head. As far as I'm concerned, Sinead is pretty much all-round brilliant, just as she is. I have always believed this, from the night I first spotted her at the All Saints gig in Leeds. We often joke that we wish we could say it was Oasis or Blur, and she was dancing in her vest top and combats, long blonde hair swishing round her finely boned face. My belief in her wondrousness has only increased over the years. I look back at the list, suspecting now that I probably shouldn't even read it. If it's meant to be part of her therapy. Unable to resist, I start to read. You don't listen to me. You take me for granted. You don't consider my needs. I frown. Who is this you she's talking about? Surely it's not me. Could it be Flynn? No, of course not. The most she ever complains about is the state of his room and his attitude towards homework. So who else could she mean? I continue to read. No effort made re-us as a couple. Christ, so it is me. I glance around, half expecting her to be standing there in the doorway with her arms folded and a bemused look on her face. It's just a joke, Nate. Can't you take a joke? Of course, she's not there. I can't even start to wonder where she is right now. On a walk, probably, although that would be weird at this time in the morning, and doubly weird that she hasn't taken the dogs with her. She probably just needed to clear her head, I decide. Maybe she had a restless night. Okay, so this is far from ideal, this list of my apparent shortcomings. But perhaps there's a positive side to it. At least now I can start to understand why she's been unhappy lately. And what made her start seeing that Rachel woman in the first place. If it's about me making more of an effort, well, that's something I can easily put right. Trying to ignore the tight ball of anxiety that's growing inside me, I read on. You leave too much to me. You belittle my job and show no interest in it. No spontaneity in our lives. Wow, this seems a pretty spontaneous gesture, this summary of my crapness. But perhaps she's been planning to write it for weeks. Your bloody record collection. What the hell? Okay, I have a lot, probably something like 1,000 or more. I don't know, I haven't counted them since about 1992. With a definite bias towards Bruce Springsteen, his influences and contemporaries. However, they are neatly stored in alphabetical order. Is that it? Is she sick of being married to the kind of man who alphabetizes his albums? As I once heard her remark to her friend Michelle in a somewhat scathing tone, followed by gales of laughter. No, it can't be that. No one could object to a superb collection housed on custom-built shelves. Your terrible attempts at DIY. If I say so myself, I'm pretty handy with my Black & Decker combi cordless drill. And your blank refusal to get the professionals in. Yes, to save us a fortune. Handing me a wad of tenors to buy my own Christmas present. I had no idea she was mad about that. I just assumed it was the most practical solution, given that I'd apparently ballsed it up on her last birthday with what she termed that terrible skirt, i.e. the leopard print one I thought she'd look wonderful in. Woolly boundaries re Flynn. Ah, so now we're getting to the nub of things. My ineffectiveness as a father. Clearly, I'm a disaster as a human being. Dad? I mean, what kind of boundaries is she talking about? Dad! My head flicks round. Flynn, hi! I scrunched the note in my fist like a teenager caught in class with an obscene drawing of his French teacher. What's that? Flynn peers at me through uncombed, wavy, light brown hair. He's wearing the baggy grey t-shirt and black tracksuit bottoms he insists on for bed. Proper PJs have long been deemed unacceptable. What's what? I ask in a weirdly high voice. That thing there. Oh, just a bit of scrap paper. I sense myself sweating and tighten my grip. Can I see it? His gaze seems to bore into my skull. No, I shout, cheeks blazing. All right, God, Dad. He blows out air and shakes his head in bafflement. Sorry, I mutter. Sorry, Flynn, I'm just a bit, I tail off as he opens the fridge. Something smells bad in here, he observes, taking out the orange juice carton and swigging from it. I clear my throat, deciding I must dispose of Shenae's note while our son's back is turned, which probably gives me about 3 seconds. My immediate options appear to be A, eat it, B, conceal it. I opt for stuffing it in my pajama pocket. Dad, I said something smells. He bangs the fridge door shut and glowers at me, as if I might be the source. I think it's Scout, I say quickly. If that's the smell you mean, it's been happening more than once since we bought the liver-flavoured food. I think we should go back to chicken. Flynn nods, and for a brief moment I think, well, I can't be a complete disaster, as somehow I have managed to resume an air of relative normality, despite Sinead's note and apparent disappearance. Where's Mum? He asks, pulling the lid off the cookie jar and grabbing a fistful of biscuits. I look around as if it has only just occurred to me to ponder her whereabouts. She must have popped out. Popped out? Popped out where? To the shop probably, maybe for bread. Flynn eyes me suspiciously. I have always been a terribly unconvincing liar. So, is she taking me to school? I'm not sure, but don't worry. If she's not back in time, I'll do it. He frowns. Aren't you going to work? It doesn't matter if I'm a bit late, I fib. In fact, I'm due to start at 8:30 and my timekeeping is impeccable because no one wants to be kept waiting for their driving test. That's my job. I am a driving examiner, possibly one of the most derided professions on earth, which requires me to be on high alert for the minor and major faults of the general public. Right now, my alleged faults are causing a curious bulge in the breast pocket of my pajamas. I'll just get the burst, Flynn remarks, posting an entire Oreo into his mouth. No, I'll drive you. He munches his substandard breakfast, his attention caught by my lumpy pocket. I clamp a hand over it. Dad, are you all right? Of course I am. Why? Have you got like a pain or something? No. It's just you're clutching at your heart like... I whip my hand away. I'm fine. Absolutely fine. Anyway, we'd better get ready, I add briskly, establishing a firm boundary right there. Or we're going to be late. You have a shower first. Yeah, okay, Dad, Flynn says carefully, addressing me now as if I'm a confused and vulnerable adult he's found wandering about in his nightwear. With Shenae missing and her bizarre note stuffed in my pocket, it feels like a pretty accurate description right now. Right, we're moving on to chapter 2. The trouble with being left a note like that is that you need time to figure out what the hell's going on. Ideally, you also want access to the person who wrote it to see if they really meant it or just lost their mind temporarily. I mean, my record collection. Is it Springsteen that's tipped her over the edge? One too many playings of Born to Run? I need to know as a matter of urgency, but it seems that Shenae's phone is turned off. The other trouble with this whole list business is that real life must continue, which means putting on a great show of everything being normal. It's 7:46 on a bleary Thursday morning, and our son must still go to school, even if he does have a selfish, incompetent father and I need to go to work, plus obviously track my wife down. While Flynn showers, I try to keep calm and not overreact, and only call her mobile 11 times. Hi, you've reached Sinead. Please leave your number and I'll call you right back. Such a warm, cheery voice, husky with a soft Yorkshire lilt. The voice of a woman who always embraced life, who has reams of friends from childhood and her art school days, and even more through being Flynn's mum. Everyone knows her as being supremely capable, great fun, delightful company, and of course, a fantastic mother. We'd have had more babies, a whole gang, if we'd managed to conceive after having Flynn, but it only happened once. Shenae miscarried at 10 weeks when Flynn was 3, and after that, it just didn't happen at all. We're not really into signs, the two of us, but we consoled ourselves that this was probably nature's way of urging us to count our blessings and focus fully on our son, so we didn't go down the IVF route. Our friend Abby did, and she reckons the stress and disappointment killed off her marriage. Plus, with Finn's condition, Sinead and I spent enough time in clinics and hospitals as it was. I hear Flynn emerging from the bathroom. Once he's back in his room, I dive in, turn on the shower, and take another look at the list, as apparently I hasn't got quite to the end. You treat me like an idiot. i.e. always texting to remind me not to leave things on trains. You don't make me feel special. You keep referring to Rachel as your shrink, i.e. making a joke of it and so belittling the issue. Constant untidiness. Mouse issue, traps. Your mother. Refusal to pick up Scout's poos in the garden. The exclamation marks are coming thick and fast now, pinging into my face like air rifle pellets. Dad? Flynn raps on the bathroom door. Yes? It's 8:10. I can just get the bus if it's easier. No, it's okay. Why are you insisting on driving me? I don't get it. Because it's imperative that you go to school under the impression that everything is normal, as indeed it will be by the time you come home this afternoon, because I fully intend to sort everything out. I'm nearly ready, okay? I shout back. Through the door, I hear him muttering about my weirdness. The word mental is clearly audible. Then wandering back to his bedroom and firmly closing the door. I drop the note on the floor, pull off my pajamas, and kick them rebelliously into the corner by the bin. In the shower, I use Shenae's posh juniper sling shower gel rather than the cheap blue stuff, another devil-may-care gesture, and mentally run through as many of her complaints as I can remember while showering myself down. The big ones about being an uncaring, selfish arsehole all swirl into one terribly heady mess, and I find myself fixated instead on the more tangible matter of Scout's poos. Okay, maybe I have missed the odd tiny deposit in our garden, down in the long grass by the shed, or at least they have been missed. Clearly, and without my knowledge, this has become my responsibility. This matter can be easily rectified. From now on, I will never again let Scout, or specifically Scout's bottom, out of my sight. With a wave of petulance, I dry off briskly and check my phone in case Shenae called whilst I was showering. Nothing. I'm tempted to phone around her closest friends, but I don't want to alarm anyone. And anyway, what would I say? Hello, it's Nate. Sinead seems to have gone missing. No need for any of that. It also occurs to me now that because she's gone AWOL, I'll have to walk Scout and Bella before Flynn and I set off. Sinead usually takes Scout around the block first thing before driving Flynn to school. Then she parks back by her house and walks to the gift shop a few streets away where she works. On top of all of that, she also pops home at lunchtime to let Scout into our back garden. Naturally, she never fails to pick up his poos. Oh God, the colossal amount of stuff she does. No wonder she's hacked off. All this perpetual nipping back and forth, plus taking care of most of the shopping, cooking, laundry, and homework supervision. And that's just for starters. But then she's never complained about anything specifically before now. At least I don't think she has. Admittedly, I find it hard to keep up with everything sometimes. Instead of harbouring all these resentments, couldn't she just have let me know? In our bedroom, now I pull on my white shirt and smart dark grey trousers. Pretty standard driving examiner's attire. I also text Liv, the manager at one of the 3 test centres I work from. Sorry, Liv, running slightly late. A bit of a family situation. Be in ASAP. It sounds terrible to say this, but all 3 managers, and Liv in particular, are aware of the situation with Flynn and are extremely understanding whenever something unexpected happens. Suddenly, remembering that Shenae's thorough character assassination of me is still lying on our bathroom floor, I rush to retrieve it, shove it into my trouser pocket and call out to Flynn, "Just taking the dogs out. Make sure you're ready for when I get back, okay?" His bedroom drawer flies open. I am ready. Indeed, he is kitted out in the faded sweatshirt and skinny black jeans he manages to pass off as school uniform. "It's you who's making us late," he adds, not incorrectly. "Where's Mum?" I told you, she must have nipped out. To escape his suspicious gaze, I head downstairs. and searched the entire ground floor for my specs, eventually spotting them by the kettle, where I found the note. Jamming them onto my face, I summoned my canine charges with a stern command, no woolly boundaries there, and step out into our well-tended terrace street. The sky is a clear pale blue and streaked with gauzy clouds, the air cool on this bright May morning. We live on the edge of Hesselvale, a thriving and popular West Yorkshire town, nestling in a lush green valley. There are numerous charming restaurants, pubs and a cinema, and the former textile mills now house artist studios and craft workshops. We're lucky to live here, aren't we? At least I always believed we were pretty happy and sorted, and that my wife thought so too. I peer hopefully up and down our street, willing and only slightly miffed, or perhaps even contrite Shenae to be walking towards me. There's just Howard from next door striding out in baggy chinos and a faded peach rugby top with Monty, their enormous Labradoodle, who has a tendency to try and hump everything in sight, hence my family's nickname for him, Mountie. While he splatters Betty Ratcliffe's wheelie bin in a seemingly never-ending arc of pee, Howard catches my eye and waves. Clearly, he expects us to catch up with them for a circuit around the block. He and his wife Katrina are terribly cheery and gung-ho, and we often chat over the fence that divides our adjoining back gardens. I shouldn't moan about having friendly neighbours. However, thankfully, there's no time for our neighbourly chit-chat now. Not when there's school and work to get to, not to mention about 85 personality defects for me to address. I raise a hand in greeting, noticing with relief that Sinead's silver Skoda is parked on the corner, suggesting that she hasn't gone far, and start walking briskly in the opposite direction to where Howard is waiting. Unfriendly perhaps, but preferable to keeping up the everything is normal facade. The dogs and I trudge on. As Bella stops to pee, I glance down at Scout. He keeps looking up at me, intently, as if he knows. How can she stand being married to me if I'm so awful? I ask him, consumed by a wave of self-pity. Scout just hunches his back in that familiar way and squats to do his business. I snatch a bag from my pocket and bagged up his deposit before it's barely hit the ground. As we recommence our walk, I try Sinead's number again. Still voicemail. Where are you? I text her. What's going on? Right now, I don't know what else to say. I just need to get home and cajole Flynn into having a proper breakfast, i.e. not just Oreos. But then, should we really be policing these things now? Of course, if Shenae had been there, he'd have had a bowl of cornflakes, some granary toast, fresh fruit salad, and his orange juice in a glass, and not just slugged straight from the carton. In a driving test, you're allowed up to 15 faults, what we call minors. One serious fault, a major, and you'll fail. I'd consider the woolly boundaries thing, in fact, most of the points on her list, to be minors. But who am I to know? The main thing, I decide, as the dogs and I troop back to the house, is not to panic. Sinead probably just needs some space in order to think things over, so I won't call her again until her break. On the rare occasions I've popped into the gift shop where she works, Tawny Owl, or whatever it's called, it's been serene and peaceful, so hopefully she'll be in a better mood by lunchtime. In the meantime, I'll drive Flynn to school. He doesn't need to know anything about this. And then onwards to work. Once I'm there, I'll act normal and be the conscientious examiner I am paid to be, just as I have for the past decade. After a couple of years of working as a driving instructor, when it had become apparent that my playing in bands and teaching kids to play guitar just wasn't bringing in enough regular cash. That was okay. I'd given music a decent shot and prolonged my adolescence more than most people managed to get away with. Flynn was just 4 and I was 31, and it was high time I grew up. It had always made sense for Shenae to be at home full time to give Flynn the time and attention he needed. Plus, I'd enjoyed driving various bands around over the years. I'd loved the banter and the camaraderie, and yes, even the vans and interminable all-night journeys punctuated with bleary service station stops gallons of bad coffee and oily sausages and eggs. It had all been huge fun. But I was ready for a change, and Sinead had often commented about what a courteous, unruffable driver I was. Looking back, could that now be perceived as a fault? Would she have preferred a screaming maniac with scant respect for the highway code? It was her encouragement that had prompted me to sign up for the driving examiner training. You'd be perfect for it, she insisted. You're so polite, so well behaved, and law-abiding. Is that what's wrong? A vital point she admitted from a list. The fact that I'm a tedious bore, lacking the nerve to break speed limits or negotiate a junction without indicating at the appropriate time. Would I seem more desirable, sexier, I suppose, if I just drastically reduced my mirror usage and constantly lambasted other road users with the horn? I pause at the privet hedge a few doors down from our house, while Scout and Bella are tinkling in tandem. I pull that wretched note out of my pocket. I read it all again, every damn word, feeling sicker at every line. As I shove it back into my pocket, I reach for my phone for the umpteenth time, but there's no reply to my text. No, sorry, I just went a bit mad there, but don't worry, I'll be back home soon. Out of habit, I tap my email icon. As the messages roll in, I spot one from her sent less than an hour ago at 7:40 a.m. Nate, I assume you found my note by now. At least I hope it's you who found it and not Flynn. I'm sorry if it's shocking, but I had to tell you how I felt. I didn't know what else to do. It's just got so bad and you're not hearing me. I have tried to talk to you, but you won't listen. I'll be in touch soon. And of course, I'll spend time with Flynn and talk things through with him. It's important he understands that none of this is his fault. I know we'll be okay eventually. We'll still be Flynn's parents together and do the job as well as we possibly can, just as we have always done. He knows we love him, and that's never going to change. In time, I'm sure the three of us can work out the practical issues. I know it might seem alarming right now, but when you look at Flynn's friends, it's hardly unusual to have divorced parents. What the hell? I blurt out. So now you have read all my reasons, my wife concludes. I hope you'll understand why I have been so happy lately and why I am leaving you. I'm sorry, Nate. Shenae. Wow, that was the end of chapter 2. So I hope you all enjoyed listening to that this morning. And you can join me again tomorrow to carry on with the book, see what happens with Nate and Shenae, and yeah, carry on with that. So that's me done for this part of my day. I will see you all again online later. Have a great day. Take care. Keep safe. Bye, guys.